What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. And for this video, we're going to be jumping into Spider-Man, The Spider's Shadow, issue number 3. And if you haven't been keeping up with this line, I got you covered. Go ahead, check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It'll take you to a playlist that will get you completely caught up on everything that's been going on in this line. Now, this is written by Chip Starsky, and the art is by Pasquale Ferry. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we get into issue number 3, we pick up with Jonah making his way to a meetup with the Sinister Six. And at this point, he's even questioning what he's doing. And most of them, they're really surprised that he even showed up. And as we see the whole group, this is where we see Eddie Brock. We see Brock Ock. Because in the last issue, he stabbed Doc Ock right in the back, killed Octavius dead on the spot, and took over because he has plans for revenge. He blames Spider-Man for everything, for getting fired, for his life turning out the way it has. Spider-Man is to blame in his eyes, and he wants vengeance. And as we see Jonah and Brock Ock have a little bit of a confrontation here, Jonah asks everybody else if they're cool with this, if they're cool with the fact that he murdered Doc Ock, took his place, and everybody else, they don't really care. You know, at this point, an extra hand and being able to take down Spider-Man, they're not going to deny that. And what's done is done. Most of them didn't even like Otto anyway, so for them, this is a no-brainer. Because at the end of the day, the battle that lies before them, it's going to take all of them to win this. But they've all met up outside of the city. They met here because this is where they plan to trap Spider-Man. They couldn't risk doing it inside the city limits. That would attract too many other heroes that might possibly be in the area. And so the idea is to lure him out here and use the solitude to their advantage, use their numbers to the advantage, and try to take him down. Now, right now, Reed Richards, he is working vigorously to try to find Peter Parker, to try to find the symbiote suit. Because at this point, 11 people have now been murdered at the hands of Peter Parker, at the hands of Venom. And he has Johnny crisscrossing the entire city looking for him, but there's no signs. And so the only thing right now they can do is wait for Venom to pop up again, wait for him to murder somebody else, because right now that's their only lead. And at this point, even Captain America has gotten involved, because this is getting ridiculously out of hand right now. And on the news, we see a breaking coverage of Beetle being killed by Spider-Man after that they battled. Now, Peter Parker, he's making his way into the countryside, going down this very dark road. In his back seat, we see the dead body of Beetle. And Peter Parker, he thinks to himself, he has conflicting thoughts because at the end of the day, he just wanted to help people. He wanted to save people. And part of him feels like he may not be doing that. But Venom convinces him otherwise, tells him that they are saving people, that this is the best course of action and they need to continue moving forward. Now, picking up with the Sinister Six, we have Brock Ock and Jonah sitting here having a conversation. Because Jonah's really trying to get a feel of what Eddie Brock is really trying to get out here. You know, Eddie feels like Spider-Man took everything from him. But Jonah, he tells him, you know, you were fired because you accused the wrong man of being Sin Eater. And then Spider-Man ended up catching the real killer. And Jonah tells him, you know, at the end of the day, you really only have yourself to blame for getting fired, for your life turning the direction it has. Spider-Man really didn't do anything to you. But in the midst of this conversation, they hear a rustling off to the side. Jonah going to investigate and see what this is. Putting a flashlight on the wood line, we see the body of Beetle strung up in the trees with webbing. And Eddie Brock alerts everybody else. Mysterio, Electro, they all come piling out of the house. And Mysterio tells everybody that they need to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan and continue to wear the goggles that he gave them. Because these goggles will help them see reality. See reality while the image inducers are activated. And as they get activated, as they turn on, they start to look around for Spider-Man, but they can't find him. They can't find him because he's gone underground. And when he comes up, he starts messing these guys up. They are no match for Peter Parker and Venom. And this is a joke to him. This is a joke to Peter Parker. He's fought all of them before. He's defeated all of them before. And he taunts them. He tells them, you know how many times I have stopped myself from killing you guys. How many times I have pulled punches. And Eddie Brock tries coming up. Tries telling him, you've never fought me before. And Brock Ock gets his butt kicked. And Peter's like, I don't even know who you are. And as this fight continues on, as Spider-Man continues to whoop on Sinister Six, we see a fire ignited. The barn has a fire lit, and now they're trying to make Venom head over in that direction. They realize they see the fear, and they're going to use this to their advantage. And this is where we see our Mecha Jonah, and he grabs hold of Peter Parker. He grabs hold of Venom and brings him into the barn. And as Jonah holds him in place, as the Venom slowly burns off of Peter Parker's body, it starts to reveal his face. And he calls out to Jonah. He begs for him to help him. And Jonah realizes for the first time that this is Peter Parker. And inside the barn, we see a giant explosion. Everyone goes flying back in opposite directions. And Jonah comes out holding Peter Parker in his arms, no longer having the symbiote on him. And so by all appearances, it looks like Venom had been vaporized. And as Peter Parker lays here on the ground, Kraven goes to take a spear and drive it into his back, only to get hit in the back of the head by Jonah. And Jonah thinking to himself, at the end of the day, why did it have to be Peter Parker? Of all people, why did Spider-Man have to be Peter Parker? And so he grabs him, throws him into the van, and they head back into the city. With Peter Parker gaining consciousness, he starts to ask questions, asking if the Sinister Six, if they all died. And he lets them know all except for Kraven and Brock Ock. And Peter starts to get flashes of everything that he's done, all the murders that were done by his hands. And Jonah tells him to try not to beat himself up, because at the end of the day, he wasn't necessarily in control. Venom was manipulating his mind. But Jonah also, he doesn't know where to go from here. He doesn't know what to do next. Right now, they're believing Venom to be dead, believing him to burn up in the fire. And so the only thing he can think of is to go home. And as Jonah brings him through the door, he tries having a conversation with MJ, who's been sitting here waiting for him to arrive. And he apologizes, saying that he didn't want to hurt anybody. But right now, they have bigger fish to fry. Because Fisk, before he died, he did one very serious thing. Kind of his ace in the hole. He let the world know Spider-Man's identity. And this is where we see the police waiting outside of his apartment, getting ready to kick in the door and apprehend the one known as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. Now, it was believed that Venom had died, but really Venom just hid, was able to hop on the van as they made their way back into the city. Now, Venom may have enjoyed being a part of Peter Parker, but being a part of Peter Parker, Venom learned something very curious. Learned that knowledge was power, and they met somebody with an immense amount of power. And that's what will bring us to the Fantastic Four, because Venom made his way here, took over Reed Richards, and now appears to be breeding more Venoms, while also simultaneously taking over the Thing and the rest of the Fantastic Four. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Personally, I am totally enjoying this line. It has been a lot of fun. I've always been the more darker, grittier side of things, and this what if scenario is thoroughly enjoyable. I love seeing the darker side of Peter Parker when he lets into all of that hatred, that anger, seeing him push to the limits, and truly how powerful he is. He's able to take out the Sinister Six like they are absolutely nothing. We see how much he really does hold back when it comes to fighting these guys, because the reality of it, he could end them at any time he really wanted. And I love how this issue really highlights that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.